Okay, the time is 7:30. I'll call this regular scheduled meeting and public hearing of the mayor and council to order. Today is Monday, March 25th, 2013. All members of the mayor and council are present. Tonight, instead of an invocation, I'll ask all of us to have a moment of silence. Over the weekend, Jay Clower, who is the son of Jimmy and Sylvia Clower, passed away. He was only 45 years old. Right now is his viewing, and tomorrow is his funeral. So I'd ask that we have a moment of silence for the Clower family, and also for Judge Lang, our chief judge here in the municipal court, whose father passed away this weekend. So please have a moment of silence for those families. Thank you. Now for tonight's announcements. On March 26th, we'll have a Planning Commission meeting. The meeting will begin with a 7 p.m. work session and a 7:30 p.m. meeting here at City Hall. On April 5th, we'll have a blood drive from 1:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. in the community room. To learn more about blood donation opportunities, visit www.redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS. On April 7th, you can watch a rebroadcast of this council meeting on Comcast Channel 25 at 6:30 p.m. On April 8th, we'll have our regular scheduled council meeting, a 6:30 p.m. work session, and a 7:30 p.m. meeting here at City Hall. And on April 9th, we'll have a Board of Appeals meeting. The work session will be at 7 p.m., and the meeting will begin at 7:30 p.m. here at City Hall. On March 28th, the next edition of our Citizens Police Academy will begin at the Snellville Police Department at 6 o'clock p.m. There's still time to register if you'd like to be part of this Snellville Citizens Police Academy. Contact Detective Downs or tdowns@snellville.org to register. Also, I'd like to congratulate Officer Neil Bullock, who won the 2013 Life Saving Award from the Gwinnett County Chamber of Commerce for their Value Awards for Public Safety Officers. So congratulations to Officer Bullock for that. Now we have the Pledge to the Flag. If I can have the Snellville police officers who are present come and lead us in the pledge. Officers, don't go too far. Thank y'all, and thank you for your service. Now, under ceremonial matters, we have a special presentation tonight. We have, just a minute. We have two ladies with us from Project Pause here to award canine vests to Coop and Duco. We have Karen Caprio and Cheryl Allen. If you ladies would come forward.
So thank you to the council, first of all, for having us tonight. We appreciate it. We want to present these vests on behalf of Project Pause Alive, and your sponsors also. We'd actually like to ask you to come up real quick. Analytical Forensic Associates is actually responsible for paying 100% of the funds to provide these ballistic vests, and also the canine trauma kits. The vests themselves are $1,400 ballistic vests. One is for Coop and one is for Duco. They are both stab-proof and bulletproof. The trauma kits are also for Coop and Duco as well. They are actually military-grade canine kits that are developed for law enforcement and military canines. Within those kits, they can actually handle any kind of trauma situation, from a gunshot wound to a snake bite. The kits can also be used on the handlers themselves if they need it. So these are very highly sought-after kits, as these gentlemen know. We're very, very happy to be able to provide them to us. And again, we thank Analytical Forensic Associates for funding all of this for you guys. They are based out of Lilburn, and they wanted to contribute to this. And actually, the citizens that actually contributed some of their funds too paid enough to actually be able to fund the other two kits for the other two K-9 officers as well. So we'll have those within a week. So the entire unit will have the trauma kits as well. So thank you very much.
Just so I've got this right, the dogs can use the trauma kits on y'all. And we got some good dogs.
Podium gets in the way.
Get friendly, folks.
Thank you to Project Pause and Analytical Forensics for that. The K-9 unit is an asset to our city here in Snellville. Now, under ceremonial matters, we have recognizing Good Samaritans, Stephen and Sophia, and Stephen and Frank Clanton. If we can please have y'all come forward while I read a proclamation. This is Proclamation 2013-06, proclamation recognizing the Clanton family as community heroes. Whereas on March 10th, 2013, the Clanton family was fishing at Lake Lanier when a small boat carrying a father, mother, 5-year-old boy, and 7-month-old baby girl capsized into 47-degree water. Whereas when the boat capsized, the Clanton family was able to pull the victims from the water, provide them with dry clothing, call 911, and transport the victims to meet emergency services. And whereas the Clanton family has been awarded the Good Samaritan Award for their selfless efforts. And whereas Mayor Kelly D. Couts of the City of Snellville wishes to acknowledge the good deeds of the Clanton family and thank them for being ambassadors for the City of Snellville. Whereas helping our neighbors is a vital aspect of any city and should be honored as such. Therefore, I, Kelly D. Couts, Mayor of the City of Snellville, Georgia, do hereby proclaim that the Clanton family, Stephen, Sophia, Stephen, and Frank, are community heroes and well-deserving of our gratitude, admiration, and respect. Proclaim this 25th day of March, 2013. Thank y'all.
Thank you. I didn't know there was medals involved. Get him back up here. Wow, that's great.
Oh, hey.
Can y'all go where for elementary?
I go to kindergarten. I go to St. Matthew.
Good job, fellas.
So you learned what it was like to save somebody in real life, right?
Yeah.
Good job. Thank you.
It's turned over.
I know. Good job. Thank you. We now have our minutes from the March 11, 2013 Business and Public Hearing meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
There's a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Witz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emmanuel. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The minutes stand approved. That brings us now to our city manager report. Mr. Sand.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple of, short items tonight. The first of which, just wanted to bring everybody up to date. The mayor and council in the city in the past has added a very important property acquisition to the city property rolls in the Wisteria property. There's about 8 acres on the north side of Wisteria and 2.5 on the south side. We have had a couple of good meetings recently with some potential folks interested in investing in our community, and I want to thank Gay Johnson and her folks for getting out on that 2.5 acres and starting to clean up and make presentable the acreage on the south side of Wisteria, trying to clean up the underbrush, make it look a little bit better, a little more attractive to potential investors. We also have a DDA that has become much more active lately, has a full group of members, and they are working on that property. And I think that making it look better, cleaning it up, making it more presentable is a positive for the city. Second item is regarding an action item that's going to come up regarding the pool contract. I just want to point out that last year was, as I said in the work session, kind of a nightmare year for our pool, which is a very important asset for Briscoe Park. It's very important to the community. It is truly a public recreation asset that everybody in the community can use. And kids rely on that pool for everything from swimming lessons to just enjoyment. And I can tell you that with Lisa's help, with help from our city attorney, we put a process together where we pre-qualified the bidders this year. And once we had the bidders put out a bid, received good competitive bids, took the time. Lisa took an awful lot of time in doing background on the bidders, meeting with them, talking to them. I got in at the last second, and what we've come up with this year is due to the process which Lisa headed up, a very strong bidder. It will be I think, a very successful manager for the pool, someone who has done it in the past, not last year, but when we operated a little more professionally. And I just wanted to thank Lisa, and I think the mayor and council will be very happy with the way the pool is operated this summer. Last year, we didn't even get it open on Memorial Day. This year, we'll have a contract in place now, and everything will be ready to go with plenty of time, and we'll have a very successful summer. So thank you, Lisa, and I look forward to that item coming up on the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. We have no consent agenda tonight, so now moving on to old business, our public hearing. We have a second reading on CUP 13-01, consideration and action on application by Budget Car and Truck Rental of Atlanta for a conditional use permit for an automotive and truck rental facility and request for variances from the zoning and landscape ordinances and development regulations for 1.11 plus or minus acre property, Zone Business General District, located at 2960 West Main Street, Snellville, Georgia, tax parcel ID number 6051011. Mr. Davis, you want to give us some background information first?
Come on. That's okay, Jim. I'm the only one who doesn't have to sign in. CUP 1301 is a conditional use permit for the Budget Car Rental operation to locate at 2960 West Main Street. Most of you will know this as the old Valero gas station. It has been abandoned for several years. The budget people came in and met with us several months ago. This has been an ongoing process, and we were very happy to see them come in. We were very happy to see anybody have a use that could bring that building back into commerce. The area is a 1.1 acre property. It's at the intersection of 78 West Main, the scenic drive area, and it was originally developed as a Valero fuel station, and it was closed in 2008. It's currently Zone BG, and it's in the Corridor Overlay District. Because this is a reuse of an existing facility, we looked at variances that the applicants requested from the requirements of the Corridor Overlay District. Most of these involved architectural requirements of the building. The building itself works fine for what they want to do. They would like to clean that building up, repaint it, and bring it back into commerce in reasonably decent condition. The code requirements for the site variances requires for a site to be 2 acres minimum. Most of the sites along 78 out there are 1 acre. This is a 1.1 acre site. The overlay district also requires for a 6-foot sidewalk to be provided along 78. There's already a 5-foot wide sidewalk there, and that is the DOT standard, so we're agreeing to go along with leaving that. The parking requirements, they have requested 54 parking spaces on the site because they are a rental car facility. Those spaces are broken out with 34% of the parking area on the sides of the buildings, half in the rear, and 14% left in the front. We agreed with that as well. For landscaping, this is a very interesting site from a landscaping standpoint. As you can see from the air photo, it already has a large amount of landscaping around it, existing tree cover up both property lines and across the back, because it does back up to an area that when it was originally built was probably still a residential subdivision, although it's been rezoned for office professional now. So they wish to keep all of that landscaping in place as part of their work, and we agreed with that. Trees within landscape strips, they have to be 1 tree every 50 feet. The existing landscape strips that are here already have trees in them. So what we've referred to as dressing those areas up, in other words, limbing up, cleaning up, mulching, making it look good. They'd have to tear down trees to put trees back. Kind of pointless. The corridor overlay requirements provide interparcel access between parcels. Well, you have a parcel that is grade separated by several feet, which makes it very hard to come across there and tie in without going either filling into this parking lot or cutting into the other parking lot. So we agreed with that. Sidewalk light and decorative light poles, they asked to be to not have to do that. We have agreed with that because we really need to do a master street plan along 78 to determine where we want to place street lights and site furnishings. So we have agreed with that request as well. The trees that they do plant on the site will be 3 inches in caliper or greater. The street trees on the front, we've left them out of this because of the way the utilities run in front of this building. The part that isn't sidewalk is sanitary sewer, phone lines, and water lines. I don't think we want to be planting any big trees in there. The sidewalk connection to the front door of the building, they asked to be absolved of this requirement. We agreed. They are a car rental agency. Most of the people who come in there are dropped off and they drive out, so it seemed a little bit pointless. The lighting that is there can be adapted. We do require, and they have agreed to the fact that all the lighting will meet our down directional standards. So if they replace any lighting, they'll have to use that standard, and they will use that standard when they modify the lighting on the site. We did also give them a right to not do the pedestrian seating area there because we're not sure that's where we would have one anyway right now. The site itself, 1 acre, 1.1 acres, and it was developed as a gas station. So you can well imagine this is kind of a perfect location for something like a rental car agency. They have a canopied office area. They have a lane in for checking in cars. They have a lane out for checking out cars. They have requested some variances, and we've run through those, and I believe that we can grant them. The Planning Commission agreed to that as well. For the conditional use permit requirements, there are several things that have to happen. The automotive sales and rental has to be in a CUP inside the BG zoning. The requirements generally are a property of not less than 2 acres. Well, this property is less than 2 acres, but it's kind of uniquely suited for what the applicant wishes to do, and they're not talking about doing a lot of site development work, so the condition that you see there right now as far as vegetation, tree cover and all would remain the same, so we would agree to that. They're not going to overburden the site, in other words. The property needs a minimum road frontage of 200 feet. Well, congratulations, they have 201. There needs to be 1,000 linear foot of separation between this business and any other type of similar business. There are no automotive truck businesses within the 1,000-foot separation district. The closest one is an Enterprise Rent-A-Car on Main, and it is about 1,400 feet away. Vehicles in the sales and rental lot are in operating condition at all times. Well, they're renting them, so we're kind of hoping they'll be all operational most of the time. They have agreed to follow that requirement. The vehicles inventory, stored, parked, displayed outside needs to be on a paved surface. That is not an issue with this site. They have a large paved surface. Showrooms and service bays keep new and used service vehicles within building structures must meet all applicable federal, state, and county codes. They're not storing any vehicles in the building, and they do not have a showroom. The staff is recommending approval, and we have the following conditions. Condition 1, the property is to be developed in accordance with a submitted site plan entitled Budget Car Rental, sealed and dated 01/15/13, with modifications to meet conditions of zoning, state, county, city regulations. Any variation from this plan would require an administrative variance to be given by the mayor and council through the planning department. Condition 2, all the delinquent property taxes will be paid in full before acceptance of any building or development plans. Condition 3, there is a non-conforming pylon sign. It will be removed and new signage to meet the requirements of Article 12, the sign ordinance of the City of Snellville, will be brought up. No signs higher than 15 feet or larger than 225 square feet. There are gas tanks on this site. They were closed in accordance with State of Georgia regulations. We do not get into gas tanks. State of Georgia EPD does. Should they decide to reuse these tanks, remove these tanks, or otherwise do anything with these tanks, they will have to meet all of the Georgia and federal EPD and EPA requirements. The existing site building and lighting is allowed to remain as long as the fixtures are down directed and shielded from view in accordance with our current lighting standards. Any other additional non-substantial variances that is required during the development of the property, they would submit in writing to the planning department for administrative approval of myself or my project manager that I might assign to this. The Planning Commission reviewed this at their meeting of 26 February, and they recommended approval of the conditional use permit with the conditions of the staff. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to try and answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Davis? Thank you, Mr. Davis. Is the applicant present?
Yes. Let me just make this one note or I'll forget it. Mr. Mayor and members of the council, thank you for letting us be here tonight, and we appreciate the opportunity to locate a budget here in Snellville. We're making a commitment to Snellville by buying the property and not just leasing something and trying to do it. And I think so far, Budget has been a very good neighbor to have around for the last, 30 years in Atlanta, I think. And I know that you probably understand everything that we're asking for. I don't know that it's necessary for me to take your time and go through it again, other than to say that we comply and agree with all of the conditions, and we accept everything that Mr. Davis has said, and we are ready to make application for a permit and get started on getting that building ready. Do you have any questions for me? Is there anything else I can do to enlighten you as to what we're doing?
Can you, before we get to questions, can you state your name and address for the
Oh, I'm
record?
so sorry. I wrote it down. I didn't say it out. I'm Jim Siebert with Siebert & Son, and we're representing Budget Car Rental.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you. We appreciate that. Anything else?
We'll see if there's any public comment. If there is, we'll give you a chance to rebut it if you'd wish. Is there any public comment either for or against this proposed action tonight?
I'm Gretchen Schultz, 2027 Tanglewood Drive in Snellville. A thought just occurred to me as Mr. Davis was talking. I don't even know if this is something that's possible or not, but he mentioned that they had waived a requirement for a bench, I believe it was, along the sidewalk there. And you know, we could really use some benches on our town green, especially during the farmer's market. I don't know if it would be possible at all for these companies to possibly, instead of placing a bench in front of their business, place a bench on the green. That was just a thought that occurred to me. I thought I'd mention it.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll close the floor of public comment. I'll entertain a motion by council.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve CUP 1301, the conditional use permit to operate an automotive and truck rental establishment, and request for variances from the zoning and landscape ordinances and development regulations. Also, this approval will be with the conditions 1 through 7 that was explained and discussed by John Davis and the Planning Department.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emmanuel. Any further discussion?
I just want to echo what Bobby said. Welcome.
For the record, Mr. Siebert, now that the motion's been made, you accept the conditions? We're fine. We see no further discussion. I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. CUP 1301 is approved. Thank you all and welcome to Snellville. We now have a first reading on an economic development ordinance. Do I have a motion to waive the first reading until our April 8th meeting?
Motion to move to the next meeting.
A motion to waive till April 8th. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Kraus. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The first reading is waived. Under new business, we have consideration action on award of bid for T.W. Briscoe Park Pool contract, authorization for the mayor to execute the contract. I believe we already heard from Mr. Sanders. We're asking for a contract to be executed with Positively Pools. Do I have a motion to approve the mayor to execute such contract?
I'd like to make a motion to allow the mayor to execute the award to T.W. Briscoe Park Pool contract and authorize the mayor to execute such contract.
There is a motion to authorize execution of a contract. Is that with Positively Pools, Councilman Howard? With Positively Pools?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Witz. Any further discussion?
I'd like to make a comment. I'd like to commend Mr. Sanders and Lisa Platt for doing an excellent job in researching this and getting us a contract that I'm sure is going to be much more successful than last year's.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. Moving on.